Hey everybody, this is Lori Schulweiss.
And I'm Jenn.
And welcome to another episode of Everybody Talks, the podcast where we like to explore the wide world of wellness.
Yep, every week we'll answer a different question, from nutrition and exercise to mindfulness and self-care and any other trendy buzzword that crosses our path.
Sometimes we're lucky enough to have some of our favorite experts on, sometimes we just talk to each other, but we're always talking to you. So let's get started. Today, we are going to talk between the two of us about something which we are diametrically opposed.
We are, and
here
we're going to answer this question.
Yes. If I stop getting Botox, will I look like my grandmother?
That's the question of the
That's
day.
the question. Now, everyone ages differently.
Right, and they have a different attitude towards aging, and there's a lot of things that go into it.
Yes.
You know, how we age is determined by our genetics, our lifestyle choices, our environment,
Right.
And the decision to have cosmetic procedures.
Exactly right.
Or not.
Exactly right. Now, I have chosen, I do nothing.
You have
I
opted.
am aging gracefully.
I
think, or maybe not gracefully. I get a lot of compliments on how young I look, which I do. I think I'm seeking that out more this year than most
You
years.
are. She is
I want people
definitely
to tell me how great I look for my age.
fishing for compliments.
Yes. And you?
I've done a couple things.
I would say more than a couple. I would say more. I want to say you've done everything.
I mean,
Within
I
reason.
say
Within
everything.
reason. Within
Like,
reason.
I haven't gotten a facelift
Yet.
I mean, I think, look, there are
Yeah.
natural ways to slow
Yeah.
the signs of aging, and there are unnatural ways to slow the signs of aging. And I think I do a little bit of both. I mean, I do both. I don't do a little bit of both. I do both.
You
I'm
do
all
both.
in, both feet.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
And so I think that for me, you know, it started with Botox when I was 30, I want to say like 33 or
Now
34.
that seems really young.
It does seem young, but you know what I was told is that the earlier you do it, and I don't know if this is true, the earlier you do it, the more you're going to kind of prevent those things. But you can't prevent aging, right? So it's like,
Right.
they say starting earlier could delay the onset. Well, obviously, because
Right.
you're putting these
Well,
toxins.
I have to say, I mean, well, first of all, I want to say the reason this came up is because we saw all that news about Justine Bateman.
Yes.
And how she doesn't give a shit.
Right.
And she is aging she is really aging, and she had Googled herself to see herself, and all it said there was that she looked old.
Yes.
Because she was a teenager when she was on was it Facts of
No,
Family Ties.
Family Ties.
And so,
She wrote a book on it.
yes, it was called Face.
Face, 1 square foot of skin. And she talks about the pressure in society to look young,
Right.
and the damaging effects of that pressure on people and
Right.
and society as a whole, you know. And I'm definitely a victim of
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
A victim, is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word, but
Well, I don't either, but I do feel like we are kind of victimized into feeling and trying to look young.
yes, I think we're pressured into it. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know,
Yeah.
but I think you fall into that if you're a person like me who's like, I'm just highly aware and I guess afraid. And she talks about that too, like the fear. I'm afraid of aging.
Yeah, she said like the fear, she had a quote that said the fear existed before your face started changing. Like everyone has, I mean, I said this to you last night when we were talking about it. It's like, it's really a fear of death, which I think is for another day, but that fear of growing older,
it's for another day, a long time from
now. But it's like, you know, that fear of getting older to knowing that you have more behind you than in front of you.
Yeah, that is a
And
whole other
how,
topic.
right.
But yes.
But I feel like
But that's
all of a
the
sudden
fear.
it's really, but I have, now going back to what I was originally going to say is about 15 years ago, they did a makeover on me on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me Botox, and I got it for the first time. Now,
Wait a minute. Hold your phone. This is the first time.
No, it's not.
The first time.
That is not true.
that I'm ever hearing
That
this.
is not true.
100%.
You definitely heard this before.
Continue. I've never heard this
First
story.
of all,
You've been a Botox denier all these years.
I just got it once in my life.
Okay, well, once is More than zero.
Once, I mean, I guess I was in my 40s.
Okay.
And I got it for the first time.
And
And I hesitate to say this, but I did like the way it looked. But I hated the way it felt. I do not like that paralysis.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah. I don't like that. I didn't like that feeling. So I was like, and also I didn't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
And so, but looking back, like I do definitely have age lines here that.
Here's where.
Oh, here's if people are listening, so they don't know where I'm pointing. I'm pointing to my forehead. And I definitely have lines on my forehead. And I had someone look at them and they were like, it's too late.
See, and that's like,
It's too late.
that is,
They were too deep.
those are
to
the
come
words.
away.
Those are the words that I'm always terrified to hear.
It's too late.
I never want to hear it's too late.
Now, I was subject to migraines.
Oh.
And they did put Botox in each of my temples
for that.
And that was fantastic. And I got another shot right underneath my nose.
Oh, that's a good one. Lifts up the lip.
No, lift my nose.
Oh, lift your nose.
I watched my nose go, well, you can't see this, listeners, but it goes, boop, and it went, boop, and it just rose. I saw it rise.
And wait, what made you do that? This is another new thing I'm
No,
learning.
that's what the
Oh, that's-
doctor did.
On the makeover.
That was in the makeover. This was
Okay.
all in the makeover. After the makeover, I walked away.
That was it.
I said, this is me. Here I am, me.
Love me or leave
Love
me.
me or leave me. I'm getting older.
But we love
That's the way I
you.
love.
We do love you.
Do
Just
you?
the- I mean, some days, you know, that's up for debate. But
Debate some days.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, there are the good thing and the bad thing, I guess, and you know, it's hard to be on both sides of the fence with this, but I sort of am, because I hate the idea that there's this pressure to, or that I feel the pressure and I feel pulled into this whole idea of how you look and how you age.
Okay, but let's look at it a different way for you, is that your job requires you to look a certain way. You're very fit.
Right, but being fit doesn't have anything to do with like your face aging and looking like your
No,
grandmother.
But if you're competing in a world where how you look is everything, how you look from top to bottom.
And that's part of the problem, though. The part of the problem is that competitive. Who are we competing with? You should really only be competing with yourself.
With yourself, yes. Yes.
And so that's the part that I struggle with. But the very vain side of me and the self-conscious side of me is like, give me everything you have. Give me all the needles.
I remember one of our first meetings together, actually, where we had kind of this conversation where you're like, I do it all. I've like, if it's like you hear something new, and I've been in conversations where I do kind of feel like, you know, the Rube from the middle of nowhere, where you are mentioning things that I don't know, needles, processes, rubs, things that scraping, like all kinds of things that you do and want to do, what they want to do.
And you know what's interesting too that you say that is I will, because I research all this stuff and I want to know what is the latest and the greatest. I'm like that with everything, but especially this. And so I will go to my dermatologist and say, who's actually a plastic surgeon too. She's not just like, I definitely make sure that I'm not just doing this from
you go to a real
reputable person, not like a med spa in the middle of nowhere. I will bring to her like she needs me bringing the new research to her, but I say, oh, you don't need that. I'm like, what do you mean I don't need that?
Well, yes, because
I don't
you
like what
are
she said,
fairly youthful for your age.
Fairly, she used the word fairly. I don't like where this is going. Don't like where this is going.
You're a very you're a pretty person.
Thank you. Well, and it's funny because Tim will say to me, why do you do all those things? Why do you don't need to do that stuff?
I know.
But I don't need to do them because I do them.
All right, so let's talk about, I do like this one quote from Justine Bateman where she said, I think getting all this plastic surgery is just people pleasing. You don't want people to criticize you anymore, so you appease them. The more you do that, the further away you get from your true self. I don't think it's natural to tell women they should get their face fixed. That's the bottom line. Like, she is very anti that because you're getting away from who you really are. And that those age lines, as you age, are kind of like badges of honor. You're not 20.
Right.
You've had a life. You've lived. And so that's kind of the argument. Look, I do give in to one thing. and I think you know what that is.
Getting your hair colored.
My hair.
Yeah.
I will not have gray hair.
Yeah.
I do not want gray hair.
It's funny because I don't even think of that as a thing because my hair has been like bleached blonde since I
I
was
know.
14.
But my hair, if I stop coloring it, is all gray.
It's all gray.
I would look, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And so that's definitely part of it. But do you agree with her when she says like you're people pleasing? I don't think I'm people pleasing.
I think there is something to be said because you feel like in some way you're being like, look, we're not like famous, but you know, if you are someone who is in the public eye and there are people Googling you and you see what you look like then and what you look like now, that's a jarring thing. And so that's like people really are judging.
But those are people who are subject to that, unfortunately, that criticism because they are out there. We are not those people. And for me, I do it because it makes me feel better.
That's great. And you look in the mirror and you feel better. Yeah.
That's very judgy. That's great. It's very judgy. You can't see the face, but the eyes are all judgment. All judgment.
No.
But do you think, I mean, you know me now 6 years.
Yeah.
Do you think that...
7 really.
7 years maybe, yeah. Do you think that I care what people think?
I think there's a part of you that cares what people think.
I guess maybe there's a part of everybody that kind of cares.
Yeah, it's
right?
hard. Like, I definitely think that. You know, I work at a TV show where every day they're also being judged on how they look. You know, how they look. What is Kelly wearing today? What is Mark wearing today? Like, you know, he's a very fit guy. Like, you know, it's like they become, you know, she works out all the time. Right. You know, like when she was at the Oscars, everyone commented on the muscles, you know, on her back. That she worked. I mean, she worked hard, really hard.
She works hard.
Yes, to maintain that. But so I think that's the world that I work in. And so I definitely...
You see it a lot more.
Yes. And I even feel it, you know, I feel it with myself sometimes. I mean, they talk to me. It's hard for me to watch back when I've been...
To see yourself,
to see myself, yes.
Well, I think that's hard for anybody.
All right, so let's double back. Let's talk about, like, actual things.
Procedures and things?
Yes. Well, no, I was going to say, let's talk about, like, the things you don't have to do. Like, how can you help yourself age...
Yeah.
Without doing all the things that you do. Like if you are me, it's too late. What are the things that I can do?
Stop saying it's too late.
Too late for me.
There's a lot of things. I mean, we know that as a wellness community, staying hydrated, we're super big on, you know, water intake and making sure that's so good for your skin. You know, that's like one of the number one things is hydration, avoiding toxins like alcohol and smoking. You know, that's going to dehydrate you and make your skin look wrinkly and old. Sun exposure, which I know you and I both love.
Yeah.
The beach.
We love the beach. We love the sun. I love the sun. I'm much more careful than I used to. I mean, I used to be the one... I mean, 4 was the highest SPF I used to...
Now they don't even sell that.
They don't even sell that anymore.
No.
Now I do 50. But...
You don't do 50 on your face. You're a liar.
I'm not a liar.
Yes, you are.
I'm not a liar.
You can't see her expression, but she's lying.
I'm not lying.
I'm going to say maybe you do 15 on your face. Okay, all right. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, sun exposure is a big one, especially like growing up. I mean, I guess a lot of kids still do this today.
Yeah, go to the beach.
Growing up in the 80s, like we would baby oil.
Or the 70s, as it were.
Or the 70s. For some of us. But, you know, baby oil and like the tinfoil thing and tanning salons. Like, what the hell?
I never did that.
Oh my God.
I have to say, as much as I love a tan, I never did that.
That was, I worked in a tanning salon. Wow. I was in there every day. You know, it's shocking that I'm not more shriveled up. Hence the procedures.
Now, here's another question I have for you, though. So, you know, I'm not the thinnest person in the world, and not that should be a measure, I want to say, from how you think. But I do want to lose weight. I want to, you know, I want to be thinner, fitter, you know, healthier than I am right now.
Right.
But I'm afraid on my face. You know, it's someone in the office says, you can't have both.
You have to pick.
You have to pick.
Face or body.
Face or body.
No, that's not true. That's I don't think that's true. I mean, that's funny, but I mean, look, yes, is it true that when you have a little more weight on you, you're filling out, you know,
like, is that the reason I look young?
Well, I don't know. Now we're getting into a very sensitive area here. I don't know that I'm like equipped to comment on, but
Right.
no, I think that, yeah, as you, or as a person that has a little bit more weight, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, all of those things,
Yeah.
contribute to it. But to your question, I guess, it's a question, if you lose weight, will you look older? Is that your
Yes, that's
question?
the question.
That's not the question we're answering today, but
No, but we'll get to your question in a minute.
okay. I think there's a possibility that you might, I mean, look, um, you're losing volume, right? You're
Right.
losing weight, you're losing volume.
Right.
So you're going to lose it in your face as well. And unfortunately, our skin is not as elastic anymore
Yeah.
as it once was, and it
Right.
doesn't bounce back as quickly. And in fact, that's like one of the tests that my doctor will do. She'll actually, to see whether or not a certain procedure is going to have a positive effect on me or even have any kind of,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Oh, I
like,
didn't realize
yeah.
that.
So she'll take the skin on the back of my hand,
Okay.
and she'll pull it up. She'll pinch the skin on the back of my
Right.
hand, and then see how long it takes for it to snap back.
Oh, mine takes a long time. That's bad, right?
Well, that just means, I mean, that could also be like a
Oh,
dehydration
okay.
thing,
Yes.
but that's how you know whether or not your skin is going to be able to bounce back from something. So I don't know.
My skin is a goner. I'm like horrified
No,
right now.
but the natural ways to do it are the things that we do, and that's why I was saying, I do both the unnatural and the natural, and so it's hard to
Yeah.
say like which is working better for me. Maybe it's a combination of the two, but you only do the lifestyle part, and that's
Yeah.
working for you. So something to be said for
All right,
that.
so let's go back to the original question.
Yeah.
If we stop now, I know you never think about stopping. No, you only think about more.
Like what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
But let's say someone is like, just like coloring your hair. I want to stop. A lot of women are doing that.
Yeah.
I want to stop. I want to look my age. I don't want to go to the hair salon. I don't want to spend the money anymore.
Right. The
And
maintenance is
the maintenance is a lot. I have to say, I don't love the maintenance
Mm.
of keeping my hair not gray. But if I gave up, now do you also give up on your face? Like, is there a point where, what if you stopped getting Botox? Would your face, would you be like one of those like skeletons, like where the face would just like melt off and drop to the floor?
Oh my God, that is a terrible
Terrible
thought.
picture.
It's a terrible picture. I don't know. I'm feeling anxious as you're saying that. My heart is starting to race a little bit. I'm sweating.
So you first got Botox because you didn't want someone said you can't wait till you're now in your 50s. You have to do it early.
With the 50s, barely there, barely there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But yes,
I gotta rub it in a little.
I know you do. Yeah, somebody said if you start now, it'll be better down the road. I mean, think about it. It kind of makes sense, but your
Does.
doctor said it's too late because you
Right.
didn't do it earlier.
Right.
Now the lines are deep in there, but I still disagree. I think we need a second opinion on that. But
Great.
because they're
Happy
definitely,
birthday, Laura! You're getting Botox.
yeah, maybe. Oh, that's a good gift. Good gift idea. But what was the question?
Well, why did you
Oh,
start?
why did I start? I think, I don't know. I know why I started. One morning, this is actually very funny and true. One
don't
morning
think
I
I know
woke
the
up.
story.
Yes, I was 33 or 34. I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I thought there was something on my face and I tried to like rub it off and I'm trying to like rub it off. And I'm like, this isn't coming off.
Is this the beginning of the dent
It
story?
was a wrinkle. It was a wrinkle, my first one, like visible one, that I thought something was stuck on my face. I'm like,
You
oh.
have dimples, though.
Yeah, I do, but I think the dimples also create those lines and those creases. But anyway, I saw that line and I was like, this is something that's not coming off unless I do something about it. So I went and it started with just Botox, which we think is the gateway to
That was my next question. Is Botox the gateway procedure? Like, you get Botox, everyone's like, okay, I want to start doing younger, things to make me
look younger.
look younger, right? Is that right? And so you go in and you're like, okay, Botox is the first thing.
Right. I think it can be a gateway. I think there are people like you, though, that you're like, I don't like how this feels. I have another friend that had it like an adverse reaction to it, so she'll never do it again.
Wow.
But for me, it was not that. I had like
You were like, wow,
I
I
was
was
like,
20
my
from 33.
God, this is amazing. And you know what is funny though? You think about it, like I would give, well, I shouldn't say I'd give anything to be 33, but at 33, you think that you're old and you think that,
Yes.
like, oh my God, I
Oh
can't.
my God, I remember just a conversational bookmark. I remember when I started my first job, I was 21, 22 years old, and my boss was 36.
And you
And
thought it was so
I
old.
thought, oh my God, I will never be 36. Well, meanwhile, I'm almost double 36.
Yeah, close, close. I know. Well, it is funny, and that's,
Yeah,
to,
everything's relative.
to talk about aging from that standpoint, I think is another conversation. I think we realize, and we talk about this all the time, is that we don't have kids, and we don't have those mile markers to see in our
Yes.
kids to know that time is passing, right? So, which is, I think why we feel younger and
Right.
maybe look younger.
I really do believe, like, I was single for a long time,
Hmm.
then I got married, no kids. And so, I mean, the divorce definitely aged me a bit,
Sure.
for sure.
Hmm.
But I think, yes, not having those stresses of life early on doesn't add to the age.
Yeah. But, again, kind of back to, will your face melt off of your
Like, you would
body?
never think, like, if someone is like, okay, I'm done, what happens when you
I think
do
nothing. I
do
think,
the wrinkles
yeah,
return?
they
The
sure
natural wrinkles
do.
will return.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, like, picture, I'm dating myself, but picture of Dorian Gray, Benjamin Button, you're like,
Oh,
all of a sudden, like, the real, you don't know what I'm talking about, the picture of Dorian Gray.
no, I don't.
Oh my God.
But I know
Picture
Benjamin
of
Button.
drawing. Okay, picture of Dorian Gray was, the whole story was, he made a deal with the devil that he had this portrait that he kept hidden, and the portrait aged, but he stayed young,
Oh,
outwardly.
okay.
But then, when I forgot what happens at the end, but you look at the painting and you see what he would really look
Oh, what they
like.
really look like.
Yes. So that's, boy, I feel like I'm 100 years old, not just
I just,
right now. Jeez.
well, you know how they do those like age progressions when
Yes,
like
like you see what you would look like, but also
so,
you don't think that you're aging. Like, I think, like, oh, I look the same, but then you look at a picture from 20 years ago, and
yeah,
I
it's a
especially,
jolt.
it's a jolt because I was like, oh, I really do look older. So I would say, like, sometimes I think I look better than I did when I was young.
Well, you know what's funny? There's this TikTok going around because I'm cool like that.
Are you?
TikTok, yeah, I
Are
just
you cool?
throw TikTok out there. Well, no, there's this TikTok going around,
You should
and
call it the
the
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah,
Yeah.
like my mom would. Um, which, by the way, my mom is on TikTok at 80 years old.
Wow.
So there's a TikTok going around that is my high school
Oh yes.
graduating year,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it just popped up again yesterday.
Yes.
And reading the comments of kids today, like saying how, oh my God, why do they look like they're 30? Like this is the Breakfast Club or something,
So
making all
funny.
these comments about like 1989,
Yes.
1990, and how we had big hair and
Right.
all that stuff. And today, how, you know, they they don't look
Yeah.
like that. And but
Yeah.
someone was saying, well, guess what? My sister or my whoever, is a product of this graduating class,
Yeah.
and she looks younger now. They pretty much were saying like
Yeah.
we remained looking that age that we did
Yes.
in high school,
Yes.
minus
Yes.
the big hair.
Well, I think, don't you think, I mean, we're getting like way off the mark,
way off here.
but I do think that we have grown up in a time, like we've aged, I would
Let's use
say.
we loosely. Hey, yeah.
Hey.
Uh-huh.
But I would say
Yeah.
we've aged in a time where health and fitness
Yes.
has taken control, so that we've actually grown up in a time where it became important to do those things. So maybe that is to our
Yeah.
strength.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
we weren't doing that, and then all of a sudden the world is saying, hey, you should be doing this.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the way it should go.
I think that's very true. I think health and fitness being part of, like they call it aging, something healthy aging, or I forget what it is.
Mhm.
There's a term for it. But
Right.
anyway, yeah, I think even, you know, I looking at my parents and thinking like, I mean, yeah, my dad plays golf, my mom used to play tennis, whatever it is, but it wasn't like it is now.
No, we're going to be in much better shape.
And the kids that we don't have.
Than the kids that we don't have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
That's fun. But yes, I think that we're in a much better, like if we
We are.
had grandkids,
Right.
we would be able to be on the ground and play. Like that's the
Oh,
goal. We
yeah.
have women in our wellness group who that is their
That's
one
their goal.
is they want to stay flexible and mobile enough to play with their grandkids.
Yep, and that's a great goal to have.
That
I mean,
is.
that's so important. I was just reading an article yesterday or this morning about this guy who is 106 or 109, I
Right.
forget. And he attributes, like, all the things he attributes his longevity to. This is a man that still drives.
Wow.
He does his own groceries.
Wow.
He lives alone.
Wow.
106 years old. And he says, staying active, being, engaged in activities that stimulate your mind, all of
Right.
those things that keep him young. And it was amazing. The story was amazing. He only has one daughter, but he has 3 grandkids and 6 great
Wow.
grandkids or something. It was really, really cool. I was like, yeah, this is how you should
Yes.
age, how you should live. Like it's always funny to me that you retire at a certain age and then you start to like live that life that you want to. It's like, God, it's the reverse. We should be doing that stuff now,
I know.
and I don't know. That's, again, we're way
That's-
segueing here.
But I also think, like, my grandmother who was very close to, lived to 98. And when people asked her how she lived so long, she always said everything in moderation.
She wasn't getting Botox.
She did not get Botox. They didn't have it then.
Yeah.
But I feel like my grandmother would have gotten Botox.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a part of her, but she always said everything in moderation. Like, she would have, her same things, but she, sometimes she would splurge. It's like whatever we say right now. Like, she would splurge, when she could, and then she went back,
Right.
It's
Balance.
like, there's
Yeah.
a balance.
Well, I
Now-
think circling back, like rewinding
Why-
here,
yeah.
circling back to the original kind of.
Well, I want to ask you this along those lines is, will there ever be a point where you're saying, like, oh, this is too much, I can't do this? Is there a line that you won't cross? Or do you think that it could be overdone when you see it in other
Yes.
people?
So I definitely think that it can be overdone. And with that said, who am I to judge that? Who is anybody to judge
Right.
what overdone is?
Right.
It's the same thing as like, there's this standard of beauty, I'm putting in quotes. But who decides that? Who decides that?
Right.
So yeah, it can be overdone. I think that would I ever stop? Maybe. I mean, I've always said to my friends, like when I first started doing this stuff, I said to my friends, you will tell me when I look like a freak. Like, you will tell me if I've gone too far, right? So far they haven't. No one has said anything. I don't know. You're looking at me like
I'm just trying to make you nervous.
she's about to drop a bomb right now.
I'm just trying to make you nervous.
Right now on me.
No.
So I
No, I don't
think,
think you
yeah,
have.
I think, I mean, look,
This is the thing. I would never want to look in the mirror and not recognize the person looking back.
Yes.
To me, that's when you've gone too
Yeah.
far. If you are looking at a picture of yourself when you're 20 and you're 50 and you don't look the same,
Yeah.
you have gone one too far.
Yeah, I think there's a way to do it, which I hope is kind of the boundaries that I'm like sitting within.
Yeah.
Maybe is that it's not trying to make you look like you're 20. It's just trying to take your natural appearance and
Right.
just soften it a little. Just make it a
Yeah.
little softer.
Right.
And I think, look, all these things are temporary solutions. Like you
Yeah.
said, if you stop doing it, will the wrinkles come back? Yeah, of course they will.
Right.
And I think your reaction to those wrinkles is even more intense because you haven't seen them in all their glory
I know.
for a long time.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
That would be a jarring.
It's
like if you
jarring.
saw your face the way you really looked, which I kind of want to see, maybe.
good, it's not that far. I had like a face transplant. I had a little Botox, a little, skin resurfacing types of things, which by the way,
Fraxel?
little Fraxel, these procedures.
Do you get Fraxel?
No, I've not gotten
Oh.
Fraxel. I actually jumped over Fraxel
Oh.
and went to like something more extreme that I didn't even realize I was doing till I was sitting there, lying there, having this thing done. And I thought I can only liken it to having brain surgery while you're awake. Like, it was the
Oh.
most painful thing.
Wow.
So that's what I was going to say. Like,
But then, did you like the results?
I did like the results, but
the
sometimes
pain is worth.
Sometimes, but
Yeah, the means is worth the ends.
I guess if you have a high threshold tolerance for pain,
Yeah, I don't think that I do.
I don't think you do either.
don't?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, I don't have it in me.
I
I could barely stand getting the shots for my allergies.
Yeah, you're not doing any
Yeah.
of this. So, all right. So I think it's fair to say that Aging is the natural part of life.
Yeah.
Taking any step that you can to
Right.
maintain, your physical, mental, emotional health, like all of these things tie in,
Right.
it is part of the process. Like
Do you ever take advice from others and be like, oh, you would really benefit from, like, not you,
mm,
but
mm,
anyone, like, walking up, like, take the advice of someone, like, if anyone in my family was like, oh, yeah, you could really use some Botox. Like, no one's ever said that
I'd
to
probably
me.
cry in a corner, but
Yeah. That would be upsetting,
it's
right?
upsetting.
Yeah.
But then again, think back. Why is that upsetting?
I know.
Why?
It goes back
The
to
fear
Justine Bateman
and the
and
fear.
the fear, and that you don't want to look
Well, I think
your
I
age.
think
But I
it's
feel like there should be some. Look, I'm the same. I feel the same. I don't want to be my age. So, so
but for
I'm happy
different
that
reasons. I think
yes,
like
yes.
you are just
But I also am happy that I don't look my age. I mean, someone said to me, "Oh my God,
yeah.
if you," oh, I said this to Michelle Yeoh, who won an Academy Award. She was
Oh,
on the show, and I said to her, "I'm turning 60 later this year, and if this is what 60 looks like, I'm in."
yeah.
But that's the way some people feel about
Yeah,
me,
true.
and they're like,
Absolutely.
"Oh, you're turning 60? Well, it's not so bad."
Right. Right.
Then
Yeah.
it's not so
So
bad.
you're like the role model, the poster child
How do you like that?
for 60. Who
Poster
knew?
child, poster child,
Who
right
knew?
here.
Who knew? And what am I, the poster child for getting work done?
A little bit.
That's gross. I feel like that's not a title I want. But no, but again, like I think that there's a way to, if you're somebody who wants to like dip your toe in and try,
Yeah.
a procedure, why not? Like
Right.
why I don't I don't know. I mean, Justine Bateman's thing was like this is like a badge of honor and it shows that she's lived and all of those things. Well, I mean, I've got like stories and memories I could share to tell you how I've
Right.
lived. I
Well,
don't
I
need to
know.
see all the lines in my face for that.
Yeah. No, it's
Um,
a valid. No, that's valid. That's totally valid.
I think this is so,
Yeah.
so individual for people. And look,
Yeah.
anybody who's listening is probably gonna,
They're going to be on one side. They're going to be
right. Or they're
And
just,
it's funny because we really are on. I wanted to talk about this because we are so opposite in the way we think about
yeah.
this.
But do you think, I have one more question about this and then we
Yeah.
should probably wrap this
Okay.
up. But um, do you think that it's shallow? Would you go as far as saying it's
I
shallow?
think that there are parts of it that are shallow, yes, because
Okay.
it's a very, I'm not calling you vain,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a measure of vanity
Of course.
in these decisions
Right.
because you want to, but everyone does something to make themselves look good and feel
And
good.
feel good.
You want to look good. You want to leave the house in the morning and walk out the door and be like, I look good.
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
good.
I
I feel good in my own skin. And whatever that is that you need to do that, I mean, it sounds so wishy-washy. We're like walking the line in
Yeah.
between. But I do think like it is so individual that you need to walk out of the house and be like, okay, today I feel good in my own skin. And it could just change from day to day.
yeah.
But
I
you think like, okay, I'm not liking what I see in the mirror, so I need to like do a little tune up.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like it's about how you feel, right? Yes, it starts with, for me, like how I look, like how, and that goes for the way I dress. Like I
Yes.
love fashion and I love
Yes.
clothes, and that's a
Sure
part
do.
of.
You have a closet bursting at the seams, boasting just that.
I do, but that's part of what makes me feel good because
Yes.
I don't know. There's a
But I get angry. Boy, we're really off track. But I get angry at people who judge like you for that. Like I've learned that look, that's not me.
right.
Some of me wishes I could be like that. Like I wish I had that kind of eye for fashion that you've had your whole life. It's not new, or that you are like the way you look at clothes, or you see, like how you want to. I'm not explaining this so well, but if they're judging you for that kind of,
because they see that as vain and shallow.
Yes.
Whereas I see it as like,
that's something that
And
makes
it's that-
you feel good.
yeah, and like it's
So
something
it's not.
fun.
I think the clothes are not vain on your part. Like
yeah.
that is not. I've known you long enough that is something you enjoy. You enjoy
I truly enjoy.
a certain style. It happens to be a lot of asymmetrical things, but clothes and things that tie and things that drape, things that drag on the floor. There's a lot of that.
I call them unique.
Yes, it's a very unique style. You have a style. You have style. Forget a style. You have style in my eyes. But I mean, everyone has their own style.
Sure.
But yeah, to think that that's part of vanity, that's not. That's just what you do to make you feel good. Just like walking through the park every day makes me feel good. It's a different. They're different, but they're just the same.
Well, that just goes back to the judgment. People judging for certain things that they really have no business judging you for. No one has the right. I don't think.
Right.
I don't think fashion is a crime.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is.
That came out really, really not how I wanted to say it. I was going for a joke there, and it totally
Well, you landed right in my lap.
I landed in your lap, and then so you got
That's
the
what
joke.
makes a great partnership.
Anyway, so just wrapping up and back to will I look like my grandmother if I stop getting Botox?
Yes.
I think yeah.
The
I think
answer is
what?
yes.
Unfortunately,
but
is that a bad thing?
No, and I think the answer, as with everything that comes with health and wellness, is finding your spot, your place in what you think that is.
It's very personal.
It's very personal. Everything about it is personal. And so you just have to find, and also we should add, you should consult a doctor, do some research, if you want to try any of these things. We're not telling you you should. We're not telling you you shouldn't. But we're just saying,
definitely
do your own due diligence when it comes to that.
Yeah, know that we are not medical professionals
we are
in any
far
sense.
from it. But we're just like two of, women.
But yeah, so, all right. Well, I think I want questions after this. I want questions around aging.
Yeah,
and
how you guys feel and how, I think about it. I think everyone thinks about it all the time. It's just part of living.
You think about it all the time after you hit a certain age. And I guess that age is different for everyone. Like you said earlier, when more of your life is behind you than ahead of you, that's a freaking daunting feeling.
A wake-up call. And you want to see, how can I make
the most of this?
Of whatever time.
And how can I look the best that I can doing it?
Well, that's exactly right. I feel the strains of You're So Vain playing in the background, but okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this discussion, and thanks for listening to Everybody Talks.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Lori.
We'll see you next time.
Everybody Talks is sponsored in part by the Fresh Start Fitness Method.
The Fresh Start Fitness Method is a self-paced 4-step program of meditation, yoga, nutrition, and fitness where we take small steps towards renewing and sometimes rebuilding our next chapter.
If you're looking for a simple program to help support you through a big life transition and you don't know where to start, Fresh Start Fitness can help.
Just go to everybodytalkspodcast.com. For more information about the podcast, to learn more about us, and to catch up on all of our episodes, go to our website at everybodytalkspodcast.com.
Follow us on Instagram at Jenn Giamo, at Shuli, or at Everybody Talks. And if you want to watch today's episode, tune into our YouTube channel at Everybody Talks Podcast.
And don't forget, if you like what you've heard, give us a 5-star rating, write a review, and tell a friend. We're for everybody and everybody.
The Everybody Talks podcast is co-created, executive produced, and hosted by us, Lori Schulweis and Jenn Giamo. Produced and edited by Eric Jackowitz.
Our theme song music is written and performed by Jackie Ryle and Aaron Navisi, with additional support from our pups, Oliver, Milo, and Murray.
Talk to you next time.